Tonight I have NHL Game 7 as well as the Euros picks, and I'm even going to go over one pick in the MLB that I'm liking. But first, let's recap Saturday night's picks. We got a nice stack over in the CFL. Both went on the double under, but the second stack in Romania ended up chalking here. You could see on Dennis Mann, we had him at 22.5 passes attempted, stacked with Ratu on his under. But Dennis Mann ended up getting that 28. He ended up playing the whole game, so if he actually did get subbed off, it would have been very nice for us. But unfortunately, we got hooked on this play. If you watched the video after 3 p.m., I did recommend this Mexico stack on Chavez and Arteaga, and this was an even worse bad beat. 39.5 pass attempted. He got 38. So two more and you would have cashed that 9.5x. Hook on the Romania player and a hook on the Mexico player. It is what it is. It was almost a perfect night. So now I'm going to recap the Discord. And as you could see, it was a rough week on Prize Picks. On Underdog, we did go down, but honestly, 125x and we're back in it. I'm not too worried. But this is exactly why I say you should track your bets and hold yourself accountable. Obviously, if you've been in the Discord, you know I've been having a rough past 4 weeks. And it's not the first time I had a rough string of weeks. You could see in the bet tracker, I mean, we've had these rough weeks where we go down. We always bounce back in the end. But at a certain point, you have to realize, is your strategy still working? Is there some things you could adjust? And I'm happy to say I have been in the lab recently. If you notice, I've been posting less YouTube videos because I've been really working on optimizing the slips. So I basically switched up my strategy here on the 21st. So moving forward, we should see some more green. Already we're up 3.3 units. I know it's not much, but we've been hooked on a couple 25x's. 125x, and we're going to be up like 30 units. So I'm liking what I'm seeing with my strats so far. So I'm hoping by next week's recap, you're going to see some green and a lot of green, hopefully. I've definitely had some crazy weeks in the past, like 86.9 units here, 86.2 units here. So I've had like these massive weeks. Hoping it continue right now, especially with the Euros. I'm doing very well on those props. I just need to get those 6 for 6s, man. If you guys are in the Discord, you know how many 5 out of 6s you had. It's absolutely crazy. Now, although it does say minus 20 units, a lot of people are on like 5 to 10 units, and I did hit 2 protected plays this week. So those $25 protected plays, this is the one I hit last night. So this pays 9.5x, so about $237.5 back. So that's a massive boost for everyone who's betting $5. They made like over 90 units this week because of those 2 hits. This was the second one I had. It was a stack with Edmonton as well as a stack with CFL, and this one paid $250, right? So basically it all depends on whatever unit was. You might be up like crazy this week, or if you're on $100 units like some of the ballers in the Discord, it was a down week. But I want to take everyone back to the promised land as I've been doing the past 6 months. It was a rough June so far, but I do think I could end the month green. I have 7 days to do so. So let's talk about the actual picks for today, and I want to start with this MLB pick on Shohei Ohtani. I know he's hit this in the past 5, probably past 6, probably past 7. I haven't really checked. But the thing is, 11.5 is just crazy. So the way Prizepicks is setting these lines is everyone's taking this over so they could juice it up as much as they want. So at 11.5, this hitter fantasy score, I think, is too high. I'm not just saying this to go against everyone because I know you guys are all on the over, but I generally do think this is high. 11.5 is crazy. If you go over to Underdog, he's set at 9.5. And if I compare Underdog scoring chart to Prizepicks, you'll notice that Underdog actually should be higher on average. Because if you look at this, double is +5 on Prizepicks. A double is +6 on Underdog. If a batter walks or gets hit by a pitch, that's 3 points each on Underdog. On Prizepicks, that's only 2 points. So based on balls +2 and hit by pitch +2. The only thing that Prizepicks gives more score for is the stolen base, which is something that happens quite rarely compared to every other stat, right? So you get +5 on a stolen base, but on Underdog, you get +4. So every other stat is basically giving you equal or more on Underdog. Yet on Underdog, Shohei is set at 9.5. So if you do like Shohei and you really think he's going to have a good game, go and play this on Underdog. It makes no sense to play this on Prizepicks, and the under is definitely the play on Shohei. Now, the one thing that screws you up here is if he does hit a homer, that's +10 points. He's going to get the run, get the RBI. He's going to get all kinds of things with that. Basically, it's a homer. This line is cooked, right? But if you go and check his homer odds, -400, +300, I'm just going to keep it simple for you. That's about a 25% chance that he does hit a homer, which is quite high. But you have to consider if he does not hit this homer, it's very hard to get 11.5 fantasy score. Let's say he doubles, and on that double, he runs someone in. That is 7 points right there. And then maybe someone runs him in right after that. That is only 9 points, and you got a double, a run, and an RBI. And on his next 2 at-bats, he gets nothing. And on his last one, he gets walked. He's only at 11 fantasy score, so he's still hovering under that 11.5. So basically, that one thing to worry about is the home run, but how hot could Shohei continue to be? Think about it in NBA terms. If Luka Doncic was getting like 34.5 points per game, like his line was set at 34.5, he was dropping 35, 35, 35, 35. Next game, they set him at 39.5. Are you still going to take that 39.5? It's a massive boost. And like I said, you want to be comparing this to Underdog. At 9.5, it makes no sense to take it on Prizepicks. Let's say 11.5 was a fair line for Shohei, then it should be set at like 12 on Underdog. As I just showed you, every metric is going to give him a higher fantasy score. So technically, Underdog's line should be higher than Prizepicks. And in the fact that we're getting 2 extra fantasy points compared to Underdog, This is a crazy line, way too high. I'm going with the under on this because it's more likely to happen. I'm not saying Shohei's not going to hit a homer tonight. I'm just saying that the value is there on this under 11.5 finest score. So that is the first pick. Next, I'm going to go over to the NHL. I'm going to take the same stack that I've been taking throughout every single series, and it did cash us a 25 protected play. So the first pick is Skinner and Bobrovsky on their over goals allowed in the first 10 minutes. Basically, anyone needs to score, whether it's Edmonton or Florida, and this is an absolute crazy game. It's game 7. If you don't know, Florida was up 3-0 in the series. Edmonton has tied at 3-3. If Edmonton does win, they basically repeat history because no team has come back in an NHL Finals except the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that was like in the 1940s. So if Edmonton does pull off this win tonight, it's going to be absolutely historical. So I'm going to go with some Edmonton players tonight, especially because of the juice. Connor McDavid has been an absolute unit. He got 0 points last game, but before that, 4 points, 4 points, 2 points, and this is the most important game ever of his career. The juice is a bit conflicted on this prop. You'll see on props.cash, juice towards the over at BetMGM, juice towards the under on DraftKings. I think it's a pretty flat line at like -115, -115. But the reason this line is good is because we're correlating it with that goals allowed within the first 10 minutes. Connor McDavid's on the other side of many, many goals for his team. So if there is a goal within that first 10 minutes, it's very likely that Connor McDavid's either scoring it or assisting it, meaning he's going to get 1 out of the 1.5 points, and this is going to cash. I've explained this in like every single video that I've taken this, but if you're new here, that's basically the concept that I'm going with. Now, on top of that, I'm going to be stacking it up with a shots on goal prop, which is going to be Leon Draisaitl on his over 2.5 shots on goal. Now, these guys don't start together on the main line, but they are on the same power play line, and they still play quite often together. So if they are getting a lot of power plays, they're going to be playing often together, meaning Connor McDavid could assist a Draisaitl goal. That's going to be 1 out of 2.5 shots for Draisaitl. This does rely a bit on penalties, but if these guys are getting a lot of time on ice together, then of course they're more likely to go over their props. And if Draisaitl is shooting and ideally scoring, then again, that helps with the goals allowed in the first 10 minutes. It doesn't make sense to take an under here. You want to be with all overs, especially when you're grabbing the goals allowed within the first 10. Draisaitl does also have juice on the over on every single sportsbook. BetMGM -140, Caesars -131, DraftKings -125, and even got him on Pinnacle at -126. So good juice on the over, very correlated with Connor McDavid, and is correlated with that goalie's prop. So this is going to be the first sip, but I'm going to get into the second sip right away. It's going to be a soccer stack paying 9.5x. So let's go over to soccer, and we're going to start with Croatia. I'm going on the unders on Modric and Kovacic. They are up against Italy tonight. Italy is technically the better team. They got absolutely demolished to Spain. I'm not going to lie. Last game I said I thought Italy was going to have like 50 to 55% possession versus Spain. I was dead wrong on that. Honestly, Spain was basically controlling the whole game, and they ended up winning 1-0. But tonight, Italy is the better team. Spain was the better team in the last matchup. So I'm going for the double unders on Croatia. If you go and check how they did in the past 2 games, Albania, of course, they cleared all kinds of passes. Albania is a super weak team. They controlled the game pretty much the whole time. Versus Spain, Modric only clocked in 39 passes, and I believe he did get subbed off that game. And over to Kovacic, he only cleared 37 passes versus Spain. Obviously, Spain is the better team in this tournament, but even if you scale this up like 50%, that's still only about 55 passes for Kovacic, and same thing for Modric, that's only about 60 passes. So I'm liking the double unders for this Croatia stack, and the fact that they're both midfielders does help, because midfielders are more likely to get subbed off than defenders, so it's also a good bonus there. Now, I've explained this in previous videos. If you're wondering why I'm taking passes attempted on the same team, it's extremely correlated. If you know nothing about soccer, people are going to be passing it within each other, and it's a very possession-heavy game. So when you don't have possession, you can't be passing the ball because the other team is passing the ball. Since Italy is the better team, you expect them to have more of the possession, and these lines look a bit too high for that. And that's why I'm going with the double under instead of the double over. But as long as you're in the same direction, like I wouldn't be surprised if these guys both go over or both go under, because that's exactly how the correlation works. Now for the second play, it's going to be in the Copa America. I'm going over to Costa Rica, who's up against Brazil. And this one is an even tougher matchup for Costa Rica. Brazil should absolutely blow them out. I'm going with this guy, Francisco Calvo, on his under 38.5 passes attempted. And I'm stacking it up with Orlando Gallo on his under 32.5 passes attempted. Brazil's a -1,100 favorite here. That is crazy. They're probably expected to get like 80% of the possession this game, which means, of course, it's going to be hard for Costa Rica to get passes in if they can't even get the ball. Over at Costa Rica, you'll see 38.5 on Calvo, and you'll see 30.5 on Gallo is what the line should be set at. On Prizepicks, we're getting 32.5 on Orlando Gallo. So not only is this team expected to get absolutely demolished, but we're getting 2 passes higher on Prizepicks. The double under is definitely a play. So this is going to be the second slip. It only pays 9.5x because of the payout nerfs with the correlation, but it's still good because this is super correlated. 4 unders on the passes attempted.